The reason I'm telling you these that I'm going to talk about is because if you can improve your abilities using linking words and linking expressions, you will achieve one of the things that your examiner is looking for, right? That would be on the sheets, on the mark sheets for the test, right? For the speaking part of the test. They're looking if you're able to connect ideas and thoughts using linking expressions and linking words, right? So if you want to know how to use them and perfect your abilities at it, I'd say you better stay with me because that's what we're going to talk about today. Hello again and welcome back to Blimey English. Welcome to another full video, and in this class, we are going to talk about how to use linking words in the IELTS speaking test. Because if you don't know, during the IELTS test, you will talk about many different topics and you will use your level of English in three different levels: in part 1, part 2, and part 3. In all of those levels, you will need to link ideas and connect your thoughts. We are going to see how you can do that effectively. So here's the thing. One criterion that your examiner is evaluating throughout the test is fluency and coherence. You know the four criterions, right? Fluency and coherence, lexical resource and accuracy, which is basically your vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. And this one, fluency and coherence, is related to this, to linking words and linking expressions. Did you know that? So that topic, linking words and linking expressions, you can say that is inserted in this criterion, fluency and coherence. So the reason I'm telling you these that I'm going to talk about is because if you can improve your abilities using linking words and linking expressions, you will achieve one of the things that your examiner is looking for, right? That would be on the sheets, on the mark sheets for the test, right? For the speaking part of the test. They're looking if you're able to connect ideas and thoughts using linking expressions and linking words, right? So if you want to know how to use them and perfect your abilities at it, I'd say you better stay with me because that's what we're going to talk about today. During the IELTS test, you are on the spot. If you are on the spot, you are the focus of attention, right? You are the focus of everyone's attention. Of course, during the test, the interview, it will be only you and your examiner, right? But the thing is, we need to accept this, that we are on the spot during the test. Let's face it, right? And when you are on the spot, something interesting happens. You start acting by instinct and operate in the safe mode, so to say. That is to say that your mind will focus on what is more controllable, the things you're going to say in the next sentence. That's it. Because of that, not rarely students find their answers atrocious. Atrocious means of very bad quality, right? Students find their answers atrocious or very poor quality, even though they were actually reasonable and satisfactory. Their minds can't remember what they said. Have you experienced that feeling of not remembering what you just said during your test? It's normal. It's normal because your mind needs to focus on that, right? The next sentence you're going to say, right? And here's one thing. Let me make open some brackets here, right? I will tell you about something that I call the road metaphor, right? Some students might know this, but if you don't, I will tell you right now and enlighten your ideas. So let's imagine your test as a road, right? You're going to drive a car. You are the driver. on a road, right? When you're driving on a road, right? If you don't know your destination, or if you are not sure of what way to take, right? You cannot pay attention or what's happening outside the windows, right? You need to focus on the road. You need to focus on the map, right? The map, the road is your talk, your speech, right? If you don't know where you're heading, if you don't know the test, how it works, what you should do, or if you don't know the way to take, you don't know what to do, what things to say, you need to focus on the road, right? But when you start getting comfortable with the road, with the way, or if you already know it, then you can start being more comfortable enough to look outside the windows and say, oh, look at the mountain, look at those trees, look at that advanced word, look at that advanced structure. And then you can bring them to the road, to your talk, right? Because that's what happens. Our minds have this ability of foreseeing the things we are going to say in the next phrase before we are saying it, right? Is what happens, right? You can feel this, right? You already know what you're going to say even before saying it, right? But if you are too stressed, you're going to focus on the next sentence, on the safe mode, right? But when you're comfortable, when you're relaxed enough, then you can start enjoying the trip, right? Enjoying the conversation. And this is something that you can only do if you know what to do, if you know the way, if you know the right techniques to apply. Then you can say, because most of students, they want to use advanced words, fancy language structures, but they are so focused on that that they forget the basics, right? They forget the road. So first, focus on the road. Then when you become comfortable enough, then you can start looking outside the windows and looking for interesting things. You will be able to foresee, to see in advance things to say, like advanced words, language structures, see, and bring them to your speech. That's what happens, right? But the point is that if your mind is operating in instinct mode, you're likely to not have a complete and clear understanding of your answer using the techniques you need. And if you don't have the structure of the whole answer clear in your mind, you're also likely to fail in fluency in this criterion because you will not be linking the phrases said adequately. See what I mean? If you don't know what to do, right? If you don't know the structure of your answer, well, I know that in this part of the test, you might be in part one, part two, part three, but you know, and actually, that is what I teach in my course, right? Uh, when you are answering a question, for example, if you don't know the structure of an answer. Oh, I need to do this, then I need to do that. I need to apply this technique, and I need to apply that one here. If you don't know this, you will probably fail in fluency if you don't link your ideas adequately. That's the thing, right? When you are under pressure, you simply talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. Have you ever been to a situation in which you tried explaining something and talked for a reasonable amount of time, but at the end you were not sure if your message was clear enough for your interlocutor? Have you passed through that situation? And the bad news is that if that interlocutor is your examiner, you will only know when you get your results. That's the thing. They're not telling you how you did in the test. right away. You need to wait for the results to come out. That's what linking words and expressions are for. They help you connect your ideas throughout your answer. Your ideas are not disconnected, right? They're linked, right? They have a bond between them. However, since they are specific language structures, the linking words and linking connectors, you must use them perfectly to maintain coherence. Remember, the criterion is fluency and coherence. You do want to be fluent, but you want to be coherent as well. If you are fluent, you are talking without unnecessary pauses during your speech. And if you are coherent, your thoughts, the idea you are conveying, you are passing, you are transmitting, the idea is clear and easy to understand. Now, when using linking words and connectors, you must pay attention to two facts that might become a problem. The first one is to use them right, and the second one is to not overuse them. Fail to use a connector in the right moment or overuse it, and you will get marked down. That's the thing. On the bright side, connectors, as I said, can be of help for your talk during the test, and they also might make your speech easier. I tell you why. This is because when you make use of a connector at the suitable place, at the right place, on time, you will build a clear and coherent net of thoughts that is effortless to follow. See, your examiner would easily understand you, right? I will give you some effective connectors and linking words to use in specific cases. But first, you need to know when to use a connector. There are basically three situations: coordination, subordination, and transition. Coordination. This is to link independent clauses in a sentence, right? A sentence comprehends phrases, right? So when you're linking independent clauses in a sentence, that is coordination. Now, subordination, this links dependent clauses to independent clauses or phrases in the sentence. And transition, this links independent clauses in a sentence or sentences in a paragraph. It's like a bigger block, right? You are changing the subject slightly. Okay, so let's see some examples of connectors for the case of coordination. Okay, the first one I'm going to talk to you about is this one: and for this case, coordination, this is the most common connector. It can be used to link a sequence or a series of phrases. I will give you one example. I walked alone that night and found the house abandoned. So I walked alone that night. This is one part. And here is the connector. Found the house abandoned. So you see, this is what I just said. This is to link independent clauses in a sentence, right? Why are they independent? Because you know you can you can get the meaning of each one of them separately, right? I walked alone that night and found the house abandoned. Okay. The next connector for this case, coordination, is this. So, this one is used to show a conclusion to a thought. I will give you one example. He was angry at the moment, so he broke the window. See, this one brings a conclusion, uh, an idea that concludes the reasoning. He was angry at the moment, so he broke the window. Let's go see another one. However, However, this one is used to show contrast. For example, it was freezing. However, they opened the door to see who was at it. I will repeat that for you. It was freezing. However, they opened the door to see who was at it. So, see the contrasting idea here? Let's go see the next one. Either or. Either or. This one is also used to show contrasting information. And I'll give you one example. If you have a law degree, you can either be a solicitor or a professor. You see, contrasting information, two different things. If you have a law degree, you can either be a solicitor or a professor. A solicitor, just for you to know, is what in the UK they call a lawyer, right? A lawyer in the US is most called in the UK a solicitor. And if you are a criminal lawyer, that would be a barrister, right? Okay, let's go see the next one. Yet. This one shows contrast as well. And I give you one example here. A story that starts low yet feverish. A story that starts low yet feverish. If you have good memory, you will notice that this sentence was in the other video I made, Reading to Speak, in which I read a bit of a book, right? So that was the phrase in the book. A story that starts slow yet feverish. So can you see the meaning, the contrasting meaning here? A story that starts slow yet feverish, right? Not entirely feverish, not entirely slow. Okay, let's go see another one. Neither nor. Neither nor. This one shows similarity. I will give you one example. Neither the parents nor the kids were at the house the night the burglars broke in. I will repeat that for you. Neither the parents nor the kids were at the house the night the burglars broke in. So neither the parents nor the kids, both of them, see, both of them were not at the house the night the burglars broke in. So a burglar is someone who breaks in a house to steal something. This word, neither, you can also pronounce neither. And it's the same with the other one, either. You can pronounce it either too. Both ways are correct, right? Let's go see another one. For. For. This one shows cause and effect. I will excuse myself here, but I'm going to use again another example from Game of Thrones. You know that I can't help but using Game of Thrones in my classes, right? I will tell the phrase and you pay attention to say if you can remember. So the phrase is, take these false gods away, for the night is dark and full of terrors. Can you remember this? Can you remember who said that? Can you? Melisande. That was the one saying that phrase. For the night is dark and full of terrors, right? In that case, for can be replaced for because. See? So you see cause and effect here. Take these false gods away, for the night is dark and full of terrors. Because the night is dark and full of terrors. Okay, let's go see the second case, which is subordination, right? Let's see some linking expressions for this case. And since they are more numerous here, I will show them by what they represent, okay? Let's see the ones representing time, okay? The first one is before. Before. I will give you two examples. The first one, before you were born, this neighborhood was a forest. Before you were born, this neighborhood was a forest. So you see the ideas here? One depends on the other, right? Before you were born, this neighborhood was a forest. And example 2, I know you want to pass your test, but you should study before taking it. See? I know you want to pass your test, but you should study before taking it. Okay, let's go see another one. As. As. Let's see the example 1. As I grew older, I learned how to follow my instincts. As I grew older, I learned how to follow my instincts. See the notion of time here? Example 2. I could see her true colors as we spent more time together. I could see her true colors as we spent more time together. If you see someone's true colors, you see how they really are, right? That's the meaning of that idiom. But the thing here is, I want you to notice the use of this word as, right? As a subordination linking word, right? I could see her true colors as we spent more time together. See? Let's go see another one. Every time. Every time. I will give you some examples. Example 1. Every time we meet, we need to talk about that day. And example 2. We always get crazy every time we watch this film. We always get crazy every time we watch this film. See? Another one, since. Since. This one also represents subordination linking word for representing time. And the example is, since I was a lad, I liked reading. Since I was a lad, I liked reading. A lad is a boy, right? It's a British word for a boy. Okay, the next one, the first time. And also the next time, the last time, the second time, right? Example 1. The second time we met, it was pouring. If it is pouring, it is raining hard, right? That's the meaning of it. Example 2, I will tell you who she is the next time we see each other. See? Let's go see another one. Whenever. Whenever. And I'll give you one example here. Whenever I see her, I remember you. Whenever I see her, I remember you. It means every time I see her, I remember you, right? Every time I see her, I remember you. Another one, while. While. Example 1, while you're reading, try to mark new words. See the notion of time here? While you're reading, try to mark new words. And let's go see another idea here. We just saw the idea of time. Now we're going to see the idea of sequence, right? The first one is after. After. I'll give you two examples. The first one is, after getting the results, she opened an endearing smile. After getting the results, she opened an endearing smile. An endearing smile is a cute smile. It's something lovely, right? Example 2. Can we leave this talk for after our meeting? Can we leave this talk for after our meeting? Good. Let's go see another one. As soon as. And I will give you one example. We can start recording as soon as the device is charged. See the sequence here? First the device is charged, then we can start recording. We can't start recording as soon as the device is charged. Okay? Then another one. Following. Following. Example. I had the following ideas: painting, drawing, writing. Good. Let's go see another one. Once. Once. And the example. Once you get hold of something, it's hard to let go of it. Once you get hold of something, it's hard to let go of it. Good. Okay. Let's go see another idea. We saw the idea of time, sequence. Now we are going to see the idea of contrast. And the first linking word is this, although. Although. Can you say that? Although. This might be a bit tricky for some students, but I made so because of the th, right? The voiced th is what we've got here. But I made two videos that can help you here. I will leave the card here, right? Somewhere in this video. Um, the first one is about pronunciation, right? And I talked about the most mispronounced words. And the second one is about the phonemic chart. That one helps you to understand better how a word is pronounced, right? Okay, I'll give you the example for this one right now, showing contrasting ideas. Although I'm busy this week, I can find time for you, my friend. Although I'm busy this week, I can find time for you, my friend. Let's go see another one. Despite. Despite. Example. Despite his taste in clothes, he got a job at that fancy store. Despite his taste in clothes, he got a job at a fancy store. Another one. Even though. Even though. Example. Even though she was upset, she kept steady during the day. Even though she was upset, she kept steady during the day. Another one. In spite of. So this one is close to the penultimate expression, despite, right? And the difference here is that when you say in spite, you need to use the preposition of, right? So the example is, in spite of the rain outside, it's still hot in here. In spite of the rain outside, it's still hot in here. Another one, instead of. Instead of. Example, instead of hanging out with friends, she decided to focus on that assignment. Instead of hanging out with friends, she decided to focus on that assignment. The next one, though. Though. This one might also be tricky for some students to pronounce, but you have my tip here, right? For those two videos I've recommended to you. Example, though she might have problems, she opted for staying at home. Though she might have problems, she opted for staying at home. Another one, whereas. Whereas. This one is not whereas, is whereas. And it shows contrasting ideas, comparison, right? For example, Canada's got an austere winter, whereas Brazil's got a mild one. Canada's got an austere winter, whereas Brazil's got a mild one. So an austere is something not friendly, severe, right? An austere winter, a severe, a not friendly winter. Whereas Brazil has got a mild one. A mild is a soft, less severe, less or not at all austere, right? Okay, let's go see another idea, which is cause and effect. The first one here is, the first linking expression is, as a result of. As a result of. Example, they were playing outside during the rain and got a cold as a result of that. They were playing outside during the rain and got a cold as a result of that. Another one, due to. Due to. Example, due to COVID-19, the country borders are closed for a fortnight. Due to COVID-19, the country borders are closed for a fortnight. So a fortnight is a period of 2 weeks, right? A fortnight, a period of 2 weeks. Okay, the next one, in order to. In order to. And the example, in order to pass your test, you need to know how to use connectors. In order to pass your test, you need to know how to use connectors, right? Then we have the third case here, which is transitions, right? Let's see some examples of linking expressions to use when you want to change the subject, okay? Let's go see the ones regarding time. The first one is at first. And the example is, at first I thought she was mugging me off. At first I thought she was mugging me off. If someone is mugging you off, they're making a fool of you. That's it, right? Okay, the next one, initially. Initially. And the example, initially, we need to talk about the effects of isolation. Then we can see how it relates with quarantine. Initially, we need to talk about the effects of isolation. Then we can see how it relates with quarantine. Okay, the next one. Meanwhile. Meanwhile. And the example, the parents were chatting in the garden. Meanwhile, the kids were ominously close to the pool. The parents were chatting in the garden. Meanwhile, the kids were ominously close to the pool. So, ominously, it's an adverb that comes from the word ominous. And something ominous is something dangerous, something menacing, right? Okay, let's go see another one. Simultaneously. Simultaneously. This one, by the way, that's the British way, simultaneously. In the US, you can hear people say simultaneously. Okay? The example is both parties were happening simultaneously. That means at the same time, right? Another one, eventually. Eventually. And the example is eventually you will find your place in this world. Eventually you will find your place in this world. That's it. Let's see now the idea, the transition connectors for the idea of sequence, right? The first one is next. Next, and the example. And next, we've got the second candidate. And next, we've got the second candidate. Let's go see another one. Then, and the example. First, you have the chicken, then the egg, then the pudding. See the sequence? First, you have the chicken, then the egg, then the pudding. Okay, thereafter, thereafter. And the example, he left the company and moved to a small town thereafter. He left the company and moved to a small town thereafter. Thereafter is commonly used to refer to a situation in which something happens and then something else happens, right? Or better saying, when something happens after another happening, okay? Another one, to begin. To begin. And the example? Well, to begin, we have these documents to review. Well, to begin, we have these documents to review. Another one. Firstly, secondly, thirdly. Example. Firstly, you know how good I like this car. Secondly, I wouldn't sell it for this price. Thirdly, I can still use it for years. See the sequence? Firstly, you know how good I like this car. Secondly, I wouldn't sell it for this price. Thirdly, I can still use it for years. Okay, let's go see the idea of conclusion. The first one is in all. In all. And the example, in all, we acknowledge how important the whole article is. In all, we acknowledge how important the whole article is. Let's go see the next one. In conclusion, and the example, in conclusion, I reckon we can apply those measures next month. In conclusion, I reckon we can apply those measures next month. Another one, to conclude. And the example, well, to conclude, I wanted to say that it was a pleasure being here. Well, to conclude, I wanted to say that it was a pleasure being here. Let's go see now the idea of contrast. And the first one is however. However, and the example, they are quite similar in shapes. However, this one is faster. They're quite similar in shapes. However, this one is faster. Nonetheless, nonetheless, it means the same, despite something. Right? And the example, having lots of money must be difficult to manage. Nonetheless, I'd like to. Having lots of money must be difficult to manage. Nonetheless, I'd like to. Notwithstanding. Notwithstanding. This also means despite something. Example, when you start, you will find two problems, time and consistency. But those who pass the IELTS test keep going notwithstanding. When you start, you will find two problems, time and consistency. But those who pass the IELTS test keep going notwithstanding. Another one, on the other hand. On the other hand, example, if you don't study, you will have lots of free time. On the other hand, you will not be able to pass the test. If you don't study, you will have lots of free time. On the other hand, you will not be able to pass the test. And another one, otherwise. Otherwise. Example, you need to do what needs to be done. You are going to have a hard time otherwise. You need to do what needs to be done. You're going to have a hard time otherwise. Now let's go see the ideas of addition, right? And the first one is the first linking word, additionally. Additionally. And the example, those are the main requirements. Additionally, I'd also say you need discipline. Those are the main requirements. Additionally, I'd also say you need discipline. Another one, also. Also. And the example, here are your keys. Also, I'll be here later on to check on you. Here are your keys. Also, I'll be here later on to check on you. Another one, besides. Besides. And the example, they've always been good friends. Besides, they work together. They've always been good friends. Besides, they work together. Another one, in addition. In addition, example, in addition, I can give you some tips on reading. In addition, I can give you some tips on reading. And another one, moreover. Moreover. Examples, they sold the car last week. Moreover, I've heard they're moving. They sold the car last week. Moreover, I've heard they're moving. Whew. That was a long journey, wasn't it? I hope you like it. And if you liked this content, then consider following me on Instagram, Facebook, and subscribing to my YouTube channel, or you can simply listen to the Blimeycast if you're not able to watch the full video. I hope I have been of help for you. This is time for me to go, and I see you in the next videos. Cheers!